It's been a real privilege to be here and to be listening to the elders and for them to share their knowledge and their wisdom to us, because we live in such a globalized world, separated from the meaning of their motifs and their livelihood and their style, their way of life. And it is very touching because it is a remain of a culture, and it is a remain of thousands of years old culture. And we feel, you know, despite the entertainment, despite this, the presence of all these things, we feel there is almost like an appeal that we must make to the public to bring this culture forward instead of almost erasing it. We are in the process of almost totally erasing this culture. This culture, what it is, belongs to a minority. That should not be in a setting like if it's like in a dead space or a dead museum. It should be something that is living, and it is a remain. It's almost like a trace of this culture, and we can't stop being saddened by that. And this is the reality.
Relating to the Thai culture and coming from Colombia has not been a very difficult thing. I believe both cultures have the possibility or have the aim of combining these wonderful tools that we have to create. What I really appreciate from this journey I have been doing is knowing that the amount of honor and the amount of love that all the people are here in the villages are giving to their own work. It's a work of patience, it's a work of passion, and I believe that each culture has the aim of giving the next generation the knowledge of what they have been doing through the past years. It has been a journey of discovering that there is a lot of fantastic things that we unify our world, and these women working with their hands, example of perfection, of loving what they do. The Chilean poet Pablo Neruda, he was born in Chile, and he wrote a beautiful poetry about their hands, and I was touched every time with the beauty that the women here have in their hands. It has been an extremely romantic path of seeing how the honor of creating with extremely passionate and always a laugh and always with offering the best of what they can do. It's very generous from their parts.
Thank you for the question. I would like to reply it, but since English is not my formal language and my concept is quite difficult to be explained, so I have to read it up, and it was written on the Performance Contemporary Almanac 2016. Careful attention is needed in the treatment of our traditions, not just preserve them, but imbue them with life in the context of the present day that will have meaning in the current global art horizon. For example, in the work Transporter and Transformer, I use batik cloth that has been into clothes we usually would see at a Western mask ball. At glance, it looks like European clothing, but it is not. I just adopt the basic pattern because I feel that it's my duty as an artist to transform it into a contemporary piece that can be appreciated by the public across continents.
Yesterday, we went to the workshop of the two traditional Taiwan weavers, and we learned about techniques that they use to make their fabric, and not only the techniques but also the materials. We went through the process And by just interacting with them and asking questions, I learned more about the culture. I learned that the Taiyuans are indigenous people. Although they are part of Thailand, they have a separate identity. And it made me think about our weavers back home in the Philippines, because our weavers are also indigenous people. Some are in the south, the Tibolis, and then some are in the mountain provinces in the north. And it was curious because even though we are far apart, and since we are an archipelago, we are far from main Asia, I see a lot of similarities not only in the techniques of the looms were similar, although ours is on the floor and they work on the floor. I see that the patterns are the same, the colors are basically the same, and it made me think that us Filipinos are also part of this big Asian community, that we are woven into this fabric together because of this weaving tradition. So I think it's very beautiful and powerful that we are all connected because of this craft.
มีญาติพี่น้องมีน้องสาวมีแค่น้องสาวคนในครอบครัวมีลูกอยู่แต่เขายังไม่ได้ทำเขาเรียนหนังสืออยู่จะมีคนทำอยู่คิดว่าจะทำให้สืบทอดให้ลูกหลานอยู่ต่อไปภายข้างหน้าถ้าทำได้
ไม่มีค่ะเพราะว่าลูกเขาก็มีลูก2 คนเขาก็ไปทำงานค่ะไม่มีสืบต่อเพราะว่าเขาก็ไม่มีเวลามาทำไงแต่ว่าเขาก็ดูอยู่เขาก็ทำช่วยบ้างเป็นบางครั้งนี่เวลาเขามาเขาก็ทำช่วยเขาไม่มีเวลาเขาทำงานค่ะอันเด็กบางคนเขาไม่เรียนหนังสือเขาก็มาสืบต่อเพราะว่าเขาอยู่บ้านเขาก็ต้องทำพ่อแม่เขาก็ต้องทำให้ทำ
I think that their story is quite interesting. I think we can share the story and then to create something based on the story or their technique. Just like the one of the ethnic groups, I think their costume is so modern and then can be developed to be a contemporary design, fashion, or use the fabric. It's really good material, I think. But I think the young generation is very important again. So I think maybe, I don't know, maybe the government or some organization could be do something or subsidize to young peoples to get in touch with this generation, old generation, to keep on and then to do something, sustain their work for the future, and then develop something, just use the traditional technique and then with their cultural and mix the youth, the young peoples, their very creative mind, and then to create something can be very contemporary, I think. But they need help.
What I can say is that at its best, the work that I've seen is both creative, it follows the tradition and the culture of a particular set of people in each village, and that it would happily sit in some of the designer stores, interior and some fashion within Europe and the UK. Certainly true. When there is a creative leader involved, I notice that the creativity is higher in the villages. And it would be unfair for me to say which one, but maybe the Symposium will echo this when the Symposium is finished. In some other cases, the tradition and the culture is evident in the work, but with more creative influence on it, it could transcend its locality in Thailand and become international. I think that can happen through people being involved that are intrinsically creative, such people that we're working with in Thailand now, much more closely with the villagers, not in an intrusive way, but in a way that just helps the work move forward and do different things. And in a small way, we're trying to do that with this symposium, to create something which doesn't yet exist, but maybe it will excite the thought process and take it further. So the tradition can develop. The danger would be to lose it. What has excited me is to see the ornament, the care, the beauty of the fabric and the colour coming out of very, very simple processes compared to those you would see in a large factory or production line. And that mustn't be lost. But it can broaden and it can grow or be more effective within the creative environment. New things can be developed.
In the cases in this 2-day field trip, some of them save their traditional life culture very well and hope to pass on the experience. And some already use very creative and artistic way to redevelop the traditional skill. Like the ceramic factory, they create new technique in the traditional field to combine with contemporary. And the bamboo sculpture factory, they use the technique of traditional kite to present contemporary. Culture is from life, but when industry from Western jump into our life, in this worldwide situation, how to be same but different is very important issue for every one of us. We should base on what we already have and not to lose it.